Now let's get the downsides out of the way first. 1. An otherwise excellent autofocus system does struggle in low light shooting 4K video and does become somewhat unreliable. 2. Although there's the option of a firmware hack to do a little something about it, by default 4K video modes come with a 1.5x crop. 3. There's no mic input. If you want higher quality audio, you're going to have to record that audio externally and later on in post-production sync it to the internal audio. There are setups out there that will at least enable you to record that external audio conveniently, but even then, syncing it in post-production remains obligatory. 4. The NX500 unfortunately is a discontinued camera model. There is no longer any app support, so you can't transfer files from or to your smartphone, and there is no option of remote live view via a smartphone. 5. So-so battery life. If you want to shoot with the NX500 for a full day, you're definitely going to have to invest into an additional 2 to 3 extra batteries. But despite everything I just mentioned, I still think taking a closer look at the NX500 is well worth your time if you're looking for a really decent YouTube starter camera. And here's all the reasons why. Sensor first, and simply put, it's a very good one. APS-C sized, backside illuminated, which helps in low light situations, and a 28.2 megapixel count, which is a higher resolution than what you would expect from an APS-C sensor, 24 megapixels being about the norm here. The kit lens is your standard 1650 power zoom lens that will extend outwards upon power up. The lens is optically stabilized and decently sharp. Impressive is the overall detail that this sensor lens combination gives you. It's actually impressive as hell. The lens focuses almost silently, which is great for both vlogging and videography in general. The backside illumination technology of the sensor gives you decent low-light performance for sure, but it's nothing that stands out as exceptional among the competition. Overall, the sensor lens combination of the NX500 is as fine as they come for a camera of such price and form factor. The NX500 has a great display, except for one problem. You can't set the brightness high enough, so it's still workable on a bright sunny day. But apart from that, it is crisp, has very good contrasts and saturated colors. It is also a great touchscreen, which makes it fun and easy to navigate the menus and in general operate the NX500. It flips upwards to a full 180 degrees for selfies and vlogging, to 90 degrees for low angle shots, and flips downwards about 45 degrees for shots from below the camera. It's simply the main reason why operating the NX500, hence shooting with it, is such a great experience. Secondary reasons are form factor and button layout. The NX500 is bigger than an A5100, which really is a tiny camera, and it's about the size of an A6000, 6300 or 6500. It is not pants pocket sized, but should fit in most larger jacket pockets rather easily. Both the shutter and record button are placed on slanted surfaces for more convenient reach, which works for the shutter button, not so much for the rec button though. It is a little unfortunate, but via a firmware hack you can actually assign the record function to the shutter button. Apart from the main mode dial, there are 2 more dials, one on the top, one on the back, that help menu navigation and execute functions. Weirdly enough, there is no dedicated movie mode on the main mode dial. To enter movie mode, you have to press the trash can button. The button layout makes sense. There's a dedicated auto exposure lock and exposure compensation button, as well as a programmable function button. Other than that, business as usual. The menu is categorized into photo, video, customization, and system settings. The layout is organized well, navigation is quick, easy, and intuitive. Now the NX500 is neither the most video-centric nor the most feature-rich camera, but it offers everything the beginner wants and the intermediate appreciates. So next to the sensor lens combination, its second biggest strong suit is definitely excellent usability. Now the number 1 strong suit of the NX500 is its autofocus system. In regular lighting situations, both in 1080p and 4K video, it is quick and reliable. Filming yourself from in front of the camera or filming from behind the camera, it is everything you want in an autofocus system. In low light shooting 1080p Full HD, you're still getting pretty good results. But using 4K video in a low light situation, the performance of the autofocus system drops significantly to where it is no longer reliable, which is unfortunate because it is otherwise a great system. You can even customize speed and responsiveness of the focus operation. And of course, touch focus is an option. For more examples of autofocus test shots in both regular and low light situations, check out the first look video I did about this camera. Now before we wrap up talking about video settings, let's talk about audio. Unfortunately, the NX500 doesn't come with a mic input. So if you want higher quality audio, you're gonna have to record that externally and later on in post-production sync it. Now there's setups out there that will at least allow you to do that in a convenient way, but even then, syncing the audio in post-production remains obligatory. Then again, we're talking about a 3-year-old camera, and considering this, the internal microphones actually deliver usable results if you're close to the camera and if there's no wind, because one remaining problem is wind distortion. Samsung offers an internal digital solution to that called a wind cut filter, but in my opinion that thing just doesn't cut it. A much better option are called micro wind muffs. They're cheap, they're easily and quickly installed, and they do a much better job in protecting your audio from wind distortion. If you want to learn how to apply them, check out the video I've linked in the top right hand corner. So now let's talk video modes. You get 720p video at 120 frames per second for a decent 4x slow motion, 1080p Full HD at 60 frames per second for fluid motion, and 4K video for a crisp high-res image. 4K unfortunately comes with a 1.5x crop. Shooting from behind the camera, that is not as much a problem as it is from in front of the camera, because the crop will pretty much kill your ability to vlog with the kit lens attached. Bitrates, one of the biggest determinants of quality of footage, can be adjusted for reasons of keeping file sizes small. I recommend against that and instead recommend buying a larger SD card. You get 3 different metering modes: center weight, multi-metering, and spot metering to get the audio exposure that benefits you the most. For example, using center weight metering for vlogging because you are in the center of the image, and using multi-metering for shots from behind the camera where there is no foreground-background situation. Using manual focus, you have focus peaking at your service to help you set focus properly, and should you choose to expose manually, ZBrush will show you exactly when highlights clip. Now don't worry, all of this is easily set up. If you want to know how to do that, check out my menu settings for vlogging video linked in the top right hand corner. And if you're a fan of time lapses, the NX500 features a built-in very capable interval shooting mode that will enable you to create just that. And if you don't like recording limits and would like to shoot higher resolution than 1080p Full HD uncropped, there is a firmware mod for the NX500 that will enable you to do just that. You will be able to shoot until you're out of power or out of SD card space, and a 2.5K resolution will be available without a crop. Here's a step-by-step installation guide. Beware though, bricking your camera is unlikely but possible. And should you be a fan of extra background blur and are thinking about getting a prime lens for exactly that reason, definitely check out this video in which I compared the native Samsung prime lenses for the NX500 in regard to background blur. Now last but not at all least, by any stretch of the imagination, the NX500 doesn't overheat, which is precisely how it beats its Sony competition with, say, an A5100, an A6000 or 6300. Sheer image quality and 4K video is how it beats the Canon competition with, say, an M5, an M6 and even an M50 if you consider that the M50 in 4K doesn't have the great dual pixel autofocus. Panasonic, Nikon and Fuji with, say, an XA3 or XA5 are simply beaten by its autofocus system. So long story short, the NX500 stacks up really well against its competition even today, 3 years after its release. Basically, if you're okay with external audio recording or have decided for yourself that using the internal microphones is fine, if you're okay with the 1.5x crop in 4K video mode and having no app support, and you're looking for a YouTube camera that is easy to operate, easy to carry, but that still yields exceptional results in both photo and video mode, has a very good autofocus system, a decent feature set for video creators, and on top of all of that offers great usability, then you should definitely consider giving the Samsung NX500 a chance. So, if you liked the video, if you found it helpful, please make sure to leave a thumbs up, it's greatly appreciated. Any kind of comment or feedback is welcome, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. All the tech that I've used in this video is linked in the video description. As always, thank you so much for your time, thank you for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.